Greed and ignorance are the lubricants that make the investment world go round. Currently, I cannot present a credible thesis as to why someone should invest in cryptocurrency. It defies logic. Well, AJ Bell, time settles all arguments. My mum does this really cute thing where she cuts out in the newspaper every day something about crypto. And of course, we have our idiot of the week, Andy Bell, who runs AJ Bell Investments. And like I said, time settles all arguments. In fact, we don't have to wait much longer because, as you would have heard, yesterday El Salvador's president announced that Bitcoin is now legal tender, making history for the first country to adopt cryptocurrency. So, history making indeed. I remember yesterday, like it took me forever to remember. Yesterday I laid in bed when I read that when I woke up, and I just looked at the ceiling and was like, wow, it's happening. And I always amaze myself because I sometimes don't realize how big this space is going to be. With all the research all of us do, until we actually see it occur, we have to realize, wow, this is actually happening. And not just so on the fact of, oh, we were right, but more to the point of, wow, everyone's seeing what we saw, and so early on, and we bet on ourselves, and we will be rewarded handsomely in due time. Now, today's vlog is all about that big news. So we're going to do a deep dive. I'm really conscious I want to keep my video short, entertaining, and of course educational. So no philosophy, no questions, and no talk about the pound move. All about this big piece of news. So let's jump over to the news. So Nexo Finance, I bank with Nexo, I can't speak more highly of them, tweeted out El Salvador has passed a bill that makes them the first sovereign nation to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender. Now, XRP investors, XLM, HBAR, Poly, etc. are going to be wondering, how's this good news for crypto? Well, hopefully I won't have to make that argument too long for you to realize that this really is mass crypto adoption at its finest. But I'm going to show you how the XRP ledger could be used in this use case. But the president, Nayib Bukele, doesn't stop there. He's a man of action. Citizenship for Bitcoiners. I believe if you hold free Bitcoin, you are entitled to citizenship, whether you have to pay that to the government or you have to show proof of holding. I'm not quite sure on that just yet, and I'm sure more development will come over time. And secondly, and kind of ironic, Bitcoin mining with green volcanic energy. And I laugh because it's this idea that, okay, you adopt something, you buy something, but then you need to build something completely abstract for it to be useful. We're going to see how scalable this is for the country as a whole, but hey, kudos to him and his team for bringing this to life, and I'm excited full stop to see the developments. So that was the news that broke. We're going to come back to this video in a moment from Steedus. I coined it as chestnut checkers. Old but gold, this video. But I want to bring up something one of my good friends Peter Ray brought up, which was the person who wrote the bill for El Salvador did say the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, was in contact with them. And I remember seeing something like this, so I had to do quite a big deep dive to find out where was this. And thankfully, Matt Hamilton from the UK, who is the Director of Developer Relations for Ripple X Dev. If you're not following him, please go follow Matthew Hamilton, especially if you are an XRP investor. The man does live coding sessions. I myself am trying to learn more about blockchain, and he will jump on Twitch and he will mess up live and he will show you how he tries to fix it. And he's literally showing us the cheat codes to the future. So Matthew Hamilton put out a great series of tweets. So we'll start with the first one. So the El Salvador government will offer to exchange Bitcoin for USD immediately if a vendor wishes. So let's get into exactly what this is all about. So a trust that the government will set up at the Development Bank of El Salvador to instantly convert Bitcoin to US dollars. Key thing here. So the government will set up a fund. This fund will hold approximately $150 million. And here's a really practical example. If there's an ice cream parlor, he doesn't want to really take the risk. He has to accept Bitcoin because it's a mandated currency now. But he doesn't want to take the risk of converting it because we know it takes time and it's expensive. So he wants dollars deposited immediately into his bank account, which we can safely assume will come from the trust. So once he's sold the ice cream, he can then ask the government to exchange his Bitcoin to dollars. So the merchant doesn't sell the Bitcoin to an exchange. He'll be selling it back to the government. Of course, he can do that on the markets himself, but he can also ask the government to do it immediately. So here's the key thing, because we know that if he was to do it himself on the exchange, it will take time and there's a whole new educational process there, third party. Instead, El Salvador will create this bank fund, at least they're proposing, so the merchant can come directly to the government. This fund would sell some of the Bitcoin, keyword, they would sell some, and of course they have complete autonomy of when they sell that Bitcoin to receive the dollars to replenish the fund. In a sense, they have a nice little float here. They'll then gain back the Bitcoin from their people, and you could be a cynical critic here and say that the government now accepting Bitcoin as legal tender controls the constraints on the people, controls the constraints on the wealth transfer as well. And, you know, moving aside from the cynical aspect, because again, I want to keep this positive. The positive news that Peter Ray pointed out was the government officials from El Salvador will meet with the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, in the coming days to discuss future plans. Now, the reason why that is very exciting, and I'm going to bring it full cycle to that video in just a moment. However, Matt Hamilton noticed some other things. So an aspect that he missed, and so did I on first review, was I didn't realize El Salvador uses the US dollar. So you can see why a country like El Salvador, and many others will follow, would want to replace the US dollar with cryptocurrency as a legal tender, because it removes them from the US monetary policy. This idea that they are still controlled and in a sense governed by the US dollar. This whole paradigm that we're seeing, this paradigm shift away from the US dollar towards creating their own sovereign currency, whether that be a central bank digital currency or adopting a cryptocurrency. So he then brought up a really good point, or should I say, he brought up a good point once someone else pointed out a small little critique. So it is a risky move. Bitcoin is not stable, unlike Tether or DAI, pegged to USD. So here, really relevant point, and Matt Hamilton, and you'll see he is probably the ultimate, I'm trying to put into comparison, who is a really good debater? It will come to me. He's a really good debater on crypto, and he doesn't shy away from it. He thinks the entire point, they want to move away from something pegged to the US dollar, and you can't really argue with that. Regardless if Bitcoin fluctuates and it's got all these other negative baggage that it brings to the table, ultimately it serves its purpose of removing that control from the US dollar into the hands of the people. Now, of course, the government still want a part to play, and this is where Matt Hamilton goes even further, and why I really suggest that you follow him. So he then, later on in the day, put out a post about him going live on Twitch. A few people have asked about using the XRP ledger for transacting Bitcoin, and there's a common term in the XRP community that everything will operate and run through the XRP ledger using the built-in DEX. So he did a great stream, which I missed the live one, but I watched the replay, showing you how the XRP ledger can and does allow instant interoperability, so allowing one currency to exchange for another one using that extremely fast transaction speed of 3 seconds for any crypto or fiat, including Bitcoin. So we could connect and say that potentially El Salvador could use XRP Ledger now or in the future to use that as the network, the platform to make those instant exchanges for Bitcoin if they want their people to use it as a exchange of value. And as I promised towards the end, we've just gone over the 10-minute mark, but please bear with me because you will not want to miss this video. Is this fantastic video from Brad Garlinghouse and a lawyer from the IMF, Ross Lecau? Yeah, we'll go with Lecau. So let's pause it, put it back to the beginning. Let's blow it up, remove me off screen, sit back, relax, and enjoy the video.
Try. Do you see IMF holding crypto assets in the future? Oh, they're over here. That's easier. You want to take one? Go for it. The first one's for you. IMF. Do you see IMF holding crypto assets in the future? I did not put that up there.
Look at that smug
Remember,
face.
I'm from the legal department. I'm supposed to be very conservative about these things.
Body language says it all.
I don't want to go into great details about
Maybe
the
I should take what the IMF is going to do. I think we stunned Ross into silence with that one.
For that to happen, okay, under the current legal framework, some country would have to use a crypto asset as its currency. Try.
Do you see IMF
Right then.
holding...
Let's pause that right there. As Ross Lecau, I really apologise if I butchered your name, from the IMF, stated that for the IMF to hold a cryptocurrency, for them to utilise a cryptocurrency, they would first have to see a country accept a crypto as legal tender, and long and behold, just yesterday we saw that happen. And as stated by the official who put that publication out, they're already in talks with the IMF about future plans. This bodes very well. We've got Brad Garlinghouse, the CEO of Ripple, on stage, who have been in various meetings, and over the course of all my vlogs I'll be showing you the past and bringing us back to present day of how deep Ripple as a company are embedded within the IMF, and why we should be extremely excited for the mass adoption of crypto, full stop. Maximalism has no place in cryptocurrency. I really do believe that. Although I preach a good word about XRP, I hold over about 10 to 15 other digital assets. I believe there'll be multiple winners in this space, and there won't be just one. And with Bitcoin making these headlines, pushing aside all the fear, uncertainty, doubt articles, we then dig a little bit deeper under the surface and see where does Ripple and XRP play a part in this process. So for now, that's all from me. Thank you, family, for investing your time. I hope I've educated and entertained you, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao for now.